11, my name is Peter Templeton, and today what we're going to do is we're going to look at different types of bar graphs. What we're going to be looking at today is something called a histogram, a pie chart, and then also line graphs. So we've got quite a bit to do in this little session. So first of all, what is the difference between a bar graph and a histogram? We've looked at bar graphs, and bar graphs are bars that are by themselves. But histogram, the bars touch each other because there's a flow, there's a continuous flow. So for example, if we look here, bars, we're looking at individual things that can't be linked. Like here we have the USA, we have India, we have UK, we have New Zealand, we have Japan. But here, for example, we could have the heights of students. 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, and these units are all the same thing. It's a range of numbers, whereas in bars, there's no range, okay? It's one thing, one thing, one thing. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and look at our very first question. The data above shows below rather, shows the heights of various students. Now, let's have a look at it. I've got here a heading saying heights of students. I've got to have a heading for my vertical axis, which in this case says frequency, and one for my horizontal axis, which says heights of students. Now you can see I've got 0 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 150, 150 to 200. So let's have a look at this. Now, the following data shows the heights of various students. From 0 to 50 centimeters, I have one person. So from 0 to 50, I've got one person, and I'm going to use a yellow here. I've got one person. There's that person. Okay. But now remember that the heights of the students, they're in centimeters and they're flowing. Hey, 0, 50, 51, 52, 53. You don't break it up. It's just going to flow. And because it's flowing, we're going to keep those bars together. Right. From 50 to 100, I got 3 people. So I've got 1, 2, 3 people. All right, there they are, and that's the number of students between 50 and 100. From 100 to 150, we've got 8 people. Oh my goodness, that goes all the way down, and here, and all the way down. We're going to keep going down. All right, and then we're going to shade it in like this. Cool. And again, you don't have to shade it in an exam, especially if you don't have colors with you. And then finally, we got one person who's between 150 and 200 centimeters. And here is that one person. So histogram, you can see here, every bar is touching each other. Why? Because there's a continuous flow of information. We're dealing with centimeters, from 0 centimeters to 200 centimeters. It could also be weight, from 0 kilograms all the way up to 300 kilograms, whatever the case may be, all right? So normally it's a weight or it's in height, something that where the unit remains the same and it continues, okay? And that is a frequency, or rather a histogram. Okay, now let's have a look at our next thing, our pie charts. A pie chart is a type of graph in which a circle is divided into sectors that each represent a proportion of all the given information. So if you look at this pie chart now, you can see the favorite types of movies. So someone's gone to their class and said, right, what type of movie do you like? And 4 people have said they like comedy, 5 have said action, 6 have said romance, 1 has said drama, and 4 have said science fiction. And of that, you can see drama is only one person. Look how small that little sector is. But 6 people have said they like romance, and look how big that sector is, okay? And these sectors are given in degrees, okay? So without any further ado, let's have a look at this example. Consider the pie chart below when answering the questions that follow. And we've got three colors here. We've got black, which represents the number of bikes, the way kids get to school. We've got all this, which is cars, and then we've got the gray, which means the bus. Okay, there are two other forms, blue and that, but we're not using those at all. Okay, so consider the pie chart below when answering the questions that follow. Now, the pie chart indicates how students from a specific class get to school. How many degrees are there in a circle? And folk, there are 360 degrees in a circle, not 100. You get 100%, but you get 360 degrees in a circle. Oh my goodness, the number of matrics that messed that one up. Now it says, how many degrees is the black shaded area if it makes up 75% of the entire circle? So we've got 75%. How do we write 75%? 75 over 100. And that's 75% of 360 degrees in total. So we have total of 360 degrees, but we don't want all of it. We only want 75% of that 360 degrees. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take out our little calculator here, and we're going to say to ourselves, right, we want 75% or 0.75, multiply that by the 360, and we land up with 270 degrees. So the shaded black area is going to be 270 degrees. In fact, it shouldn't be the black shaded area, it should be the white area. Okay, so white area is the biggest area, and that makes up 270 degrees or 75% of the circle. Right. Now, the angle representing the number of students who travel to school by bicycle is 67,5 degrees. How many students does this represent if there's 16 students in the class? So, folk, I have 16 students in the class. Right. Of those students, 67,5 degrees of them are actually going to make up the number who come by bicycle. But that 367,5 degrees is actually out of 360 degrees. So of the full 360 degrees that we've got, only 67,5 degrees of that circle represent the number of students who go to school by bicycle. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to say, right, I have got 16, and I'm going to multiply that by 67.5 all over 360 degrees, and that gives me 3 students. So 3 students in this class travel to school by bicycle. Okay, let's have a look at our next section. Now the next one are line graphs. So we've had a look now at histograms, we've had a look at pie charts, and now we've got to quickly look at line graphs. A line graph is commonly drawn to show information that changes over time. So there we've got it. Here's an example of the sales for some company, we're not sure, and you can see how those sales have changed over each of the months. So let's do an example ourselves. So the line below indicates what petrol cost in January of each year from 2012 to 2021. So folk, not only do you have to know how to draw these graphs, but you do need to know how to interpret them as well. Just incidentally, there's nothing wrong with them asking you to draw a pie chart, but we very seldom In fact, I've never seen that come up in any exam, mainly because it would take you so long to draw that pie chart that half your time in the exam would be drawing the pie chart. But they can ask you how big an angle should be or what that angle represents, just like we did. Now we're looking at a line chart. Remember, line chart, they can ask you to draw one or interpret. So here are the petrol prices from January each year. So first question, in which year was petrol the cheapest? Well, in these years, the petrol that was the cheapest was this point over here, which is 2012. So that would be my answer there, 2012. Our next question, in which year was petrol the most expensive? Now remember, this doesn't include 2022 or 2023 or anything like that. It's only including going up to 2021. So for this one, the answer would be in 2020. Okay, so in 2020, the petrol was a little bit cheaper than what it was in 2021. And we're talking about the prices in January only. Okay. All right. So now let's have a look at an example where they're probably going to ask us, in fact, they're still asking us a question, what was the price of petrol in January 2028, or rather 2018? So we go to 2018, here it is over here, and I'm going to get a little ruler and say 2018 is probably that line over there. I don't know if you can see it, and it gets to that point there. And so that point represents 14 Rand. Okay, I still can't believe price was petrol was so cheap. I'm still in the 20s. Meantime, in 2018, it was 14 Rand. Okay, our next question on it asks us this. What was the price of petrol in January of 2015? Okay, so in 2015, we go up and we say, right, 2015, we're going to use our ruler. There it is over there. That's the point, and that point goes across to about over here. So it was round about 11 Rand. Why? Because it's between the 10 and the 12. And when it's between the 10 and the 12, you know it's going to have to be 11 Rand. Okay. Right, let's have a look here. Draw a line graph. Now they're asking us to draw one, hey? Illustrating the price of petrol as indicated below. So here I've got a graph, and it starts, and then the price going from 1889, and it looks like it ends at 26 Rand and 9 cents. Now, folk, if you look at this, first of all, I've got to have a title, and my title will be Petrol Prices. Okay. And then my vertical label is price in rands, and my horizontal one is called the actual months. Okay, so let's go quickly. January, we're saying the price is 18 Rand 89. Now, incidentally, you can see I've jumped from 0 to 18. Now, folk, you can do that if you make a little zigzag, because it's saying there's some information, or there's some prices missing. So from 0, there's a whole lot of prices, and then we're starting from 18. You are allowed to do that, okay? It doesn't come up very often in matric, but you can do that if you want to fit in all the prices. So January's price, we said, was 18 Rand 89. So around about 18 Rand 89, which would be around about that mark over there. In February, we jumped to 19 Rand 42. So 19 Rand, just under 19 Rand 50, 42, somewhere over there. In March, the price jumped to 20 Rand and 88 cents. 20 Rand and 88 cents, somewhere over 20 Rand, 2050, 2088, somewhere there. Okay, and then folk, all you would do is once you've done that, you would then draw all these lines, or where the dots are, you would join them and draw it all. All right, I'm not going to do the whole question because we are running out of time, but that is basically how we would do it. And just for interest's sake, in July of 2022, petrol jumped to 26 Rand and 9 cents. 26 Rand and 9 cents, somewhere up there. My goodness, look at that, eh? From there all the way, it eventually got there. It jumped up and down a bit, but that's where it eventually got in July 2022. Right. So, histograms, got to know how to draw them, got to know how to interpret them. Line graphs, got to know how to draw them, got to know how to interpret them. Pie charts, mainly got to know how to interpret them. All right. I hope this has helped you, and cheerio.